Ladies and gentlemen, I am Scott McDonald and thrilled to be so. I have with me Mike Green on the screen. Say hi, Mike.
Hey, hi, Mike.
And we are having a wonderful summer. You can tell we've been working on our tans. All
Well,
right, maybe.
one of us has been working on our tans.
Well, do I look a little pasty, a little milk-like? Do I? All right, I just don't want to get skin cancer. The melanoma is not a good thing. All right, I'm going to start off without showing a slide to start. Today, we're going to be talking about new virtual locations to set practice up or to purchase practice sites. There's a lot of new stuff that's out there, algorithms, and I want to explain something about this because it's kind of important. Most of our competitors have a database that they buy from realtors. And so they will say, oh, here's how many competitors there are, here's how many people, whatever. And they don't necessarily understand anything behind the numbers. They just kind of know, oh, here's what it is. And it's giving people a false sense of security when it comes to figuring out where to put a practice, where to purchase, whatever. And a lot of times have to explain to you something about what we're doing that's different. So you know that we're a demographic company. So we're looking at how many people there are, the nature of that population, what they're doing, and how they're changing. So you understand everything is a moving target. But other things that we do you may not know, and that is we're experts in geography as well. Now, geography is kind of an art and science of algorithms where you're looking at people in the context of locations. And a lot of times it deals with roads. How many people are traveling on the road? How many people are coming into the area, and what types of people those are. But we also do psychographics. And psychographics is why people do what they do and how they're behaving. So if you happen to be a dermatologist, an orthodontist, endocrinologist, psychographics explains who those people are and why they're seeking care. Now, the pandemic completely messed up everything. And a lot of the statistics that people are giving to you are very old. We're updating everything all the time. And in fact, we're going to be going through a major revamp of all of our stuff very soon. The point is, it's a moving target. I want you to know today's topic is going to be a little more on geographic referencing, distances, the nature of people moving into an area. And what we're trying to do is to help you figure out there's not a set pattern for how people are behaving, where they're going, what they're looking for. So we're looking at not just demographics, we also are looking at geographics of how the relationship exists between different places. We also are recognizing the pandemic has changed a lot of the psychographics. So the reason people are coming in is changing also. Now, there's a lot of theoretical stuff behind it. If you want to wrestle over this stuff, I'm thrilled to do it. I'll get down in the mud with you. But unfortunately, most people who are giving you information don't understand what they're looking at. And I just want you to know we do. And I'm going to let's share my screen. It looks like my host has disabled my participating ability.
Oh.
Is there something you want to talk to me about, Mike?
We probably should have discussed this offline, but let's see. There you go.
Have we got it?
You should be able to do it now.
That's just really kind of embarrassing for me.
It is.
All right. Let's take this up to the top and explain a little bit more of the theoretical nature of what we're talking. So, as I've kind of said, it's the virtual locations for doctor's offices. Here's one of the things that you should know. There is a transition between downtown or urban locations that are now becoming exurbanite locations. And those exurbanite locations are giving way to a new thing, which we're calling an out-of-state site or an out-of-town site. The parlance regarding demographics for doctors is shifting. So we're considering practice site like locations. There are two primarily new models that I want to go through with you. The best places to start up or to purchase are a moving target, as I mentioned. What was great a couple of years ago and even 6 months ago may not be so hot right now. Now that's making a lot of realtors crazy because they have a property they're representing and they're trying to push those because remember, realtors get paid by the seller. They don't get paid by the buyer. Our job is to help you find sites that will work for you in terms of population changes. Now, part of that is when I was talking about geographics, how far someone will travel or should travel, and the demographic character of the population. So let me kind of go on. Let's talk for a second about downtown locations. And I'm talking about the center of town. The potential for the urban site is disappearing. There was right up until about 10 months ago, everybody was saying, oh, to have success in business, you got to have a practice that is right downtown. That's because it was the theory that everybody was getting a job there and those people were being paid a great deal of money. A few things happened though. Aside from the pandemic, the cost of having a business in the downtown, particularly for a large employer, went crazy high. And people are sort of saying, we can't keep doing this. We're going out of business even while we're growing. And so it made a crisis, and demographers have been trying to figure out what to do about it. Now, the reason for urban sites have shifted. Now, this is according to the Brookings Institute. They track all this stuff, and yes, I subscribe to the Brookings Institute stuff, and I read it pretty carefully. So you don't have to. Now, here's an example. Chicago in 1980 was about 18,000 people in the downtown area. And you know what I'm talking about downtown in Chicago, it's a little different. Now, 2019, it went up to 110,000. They had a major contraction of where people were living and, more importantly, working in greater Chicago. Then what happened is the prices for properties began really getting higher. The state decided we're going to do everything we can to increase taxes to pay for all the infrastructure shifts that they needed to make, which they promptly did. Now, let me change my screen here. So this will look a little easier to read. So a lot more people, a lot more expense, much higher taxes, and then people started fleeing Chicago. This has been happening in a lot of places, but Chicago is probably the poster child for it. Now, the potential for the urban sites disappearing in several ways. I need to explain this to you. It used to be the downtown was the focus of all economic activity for a city. It was the place where all entertainment went, plays and movies, training. They used to have all the retail was in the downtown. People would go downtown to go shopping. Don't think just Chicago, but every city in America, the downtown is where the retail was. The financial activity, all of the banks were represented there. So if you wanted to have a mortgage, you wanted to have a refi, you went to the major lenders, which were all located downtown. And then, of course, for professionals, there was the meetings. So everybody knows that every medical and dental society in America used to have meetings throughout the United States. Problem is, it's all changed. And part of it is, well, I'll explain in just a second why. Hang in there with me. Healthcare has always relied on people who are employed nearby. So in essence, you wouldn't go to a residential place. You'd really want to go where people are employed because more people were going from work to the doctor, to the hospital, to the treatment center, whatever. And that was why the downtown was a big deal. The transitions, and that means people who were going to work, who were at work or going home from work, was where doctors picked up patients. So if you knew that you were on the commute path, everybody was going, oh, that's great. So therefore, the evaluation of a site for a doctor's office, I don't care what the type was, depended on these transition times during the day. With that pattern pretty much set, everybody has this in their mind. That's what I need to do. I need to be near major employers. Funny thing happened in the past 3 months. Stick with me. The potential for the urban site is disappearing. And again, let me explain some different ways that this is happening. Remember, the medical and dental schools have always been a place for training. They've always been a famous place within your city, and therefore a lot of orientation for that happened there. We often had doctors who were working as faculty members. A huge number of faculty members, adjunct faculty in medical and dental schools throughout the country, made it so that you want to have a practice someplace in the downtown because you could also get, a teaching gig. Professional conferences, as I mentioned, were a big deal. Have you noticed how few of those there are? And the reason is sponsorship for these conferences has become really tough. So the major supply houses that used to be the cash cow for these conferences, they're kind of not doing that anymore. They're not finding that it pays off as well. They put their money in marketing and they're not doing it through conferences. So they're kind of drying up. Public transportation was also a big deal in the downtown. If you have a middle of town and everybody has trains and buses and subways and other things, that's why public transportation was so important, because that's how people traveled to and from the downtown. Let me just kind of spill the beans on this. Ridership on buses, trains, subways is so far down, it's dropped by a third in almost every city. And I'm not talking about recently. This is a long-term trend. So getting downtown is still possible with public transportation, but it's really inconvenient. People don't want to do it. Professional conferences are less widespread. They're not doing as well. Public transportation isn't the fault, but it isn't delivering like the investment said it should. We also have cell phones and teleconferences. Now, that may sound weird to you. Why would I bring up cell phones as something that would defeat downtown practices? Well, it used to be that people mentally felt like they had to be somewhere near a doctor to talk. They don't do that as much. And if everybody has a cell phone, a smartphone specifically, they can have a FaceTime chat with their doctor or a staff person. They don't need it. Teleconferencing has become so ubiquitous in the past 3 or 4 months with the coronavirus. People are now saying, yeah, I don't mind going to a conference online. Yeah, I don't mind that. It may not be as much fun. Lunch may not be as good, but hey, let's face it, it's more convenient and it's cheaper. And then there's the other thing that a lot of people haven't thought about, and that is what the gig economy and Amazon, basically the mail order business, has done to healthcare is significant. Now remember, it used to be a time that your rep used to come by with samples and stuff. They're not coming by like they used to, because reps are very expensive to work on behalf of a major supplier or an educational firm. Amazon has made it so that nobody thinks anything of calling and expecting a next day or 2-day delivery for free. And because of that, you just don't need the infrastructure that we once did of being close to some place to get your stuff. Mail order deliveries have gone up dramatically in their effectiveness in the United States. Now, the result is it's taken away the biggest advantages that being in a downtown area had. You don't have the medical and dental schools and the conferences and the public transport and all that. Now it can come right to your door really fast, very cheap. And that's what people like. Now, there's another thing about the urban site that is forcing things to change. There's been a rise in social distancing, meaning people don't want to see you. They don't want to talk to you. They don't want to have any more to do with you than they absolutely have to, because there is a psychological fear that you're going to get sick if you see someone. This has also resulted in the loss of office workers. Now, do you remember how I told you in densely populated areas, there were always government offices and corporate offices and stuff that had people nearby? And that's where a lot of doctors were making their money. Well, they are not so crazy about coming into the downtown like they used to for several reasons. But the loss of office workers is not really a new phenomenon, but it's accelerated over the past 4 months. The fall of tourism and consumer traffic is also a big deal. It used to be that people would go downtown to see stuff or to visit stuff, museums, or even office parks. But now that isn't happening. And so consumer traffic is a major hit in urban areas. There are a fall in amenities. In other words, there's not as good a reason as there used to be to go downtown. It's expensive, it's inconvenient, and the last one here, it's scary. Now, you all know about the civil unrest. I don't need to tell you about it. You know that it's happening some places far more than others. But there is a real tendency to try to defeat the downtowns because of crime, unrest, demonstrations, and also high taxes. Now, generally, sales taxes are done by counties and cities and also states. But even very small municipalities are putting on higher taxes in sales that are making it so people don't want to go. What I'm saying is there's every reason in the world not to have any kind of a business, but especially a professional practice downtown. If you're paying literally twice as much as a suburban location, well, that's not good. Now, I want to talk to you about a shift to a kind of thing called an exurb or exurbanite locations. And I want to explain what it is because that's one of the two locations I'm talking about. It's not a suburb and it's not an urban site. It's kind of different. And often these are called near suburbs. Now, that is a demographic term. It doesn't mean it's near the suburbs or it's like a suburb. It means near suburbs are a ring of population and businesses that are surrounding a downtown area. It's much less difficult to practice there. It's lower. In other words, you're not in a high rise. And it just kind of makes more sense for people to be in a less expensive office. That's what they mean by a near suburb. Characteristic is low rent, low lease. These locations are more dependent on private vehicles, and therefore, when you're considering the new places to practice, parking has become far more important than ever. So you got to make sure there's a place for people to park. They're usually these exurb locations, which are becoming the hot places, is they have major transportation hubs. So it's not as though they got a big train station, but they've got a train if you need to take regional transportation. They're near transportation hubs, and most of the time that's in a freeway, a dedicated high-speed transportation artery. They are considered way stations. They are, in essence, hubs. So doctors are asking, where should I go if I want to have kind of an urban area, lots of employment nearby? And we're saying, look for a way station. Look for a place that is not so high-rise-ish, but rather is more spread out, and serves as a transportation hub for people. That is proving less expensive and far more effective for your marketing. Now, the other kind of location I'm talking about is called an out-of-town site. It's also referred to by demographers as an on-the-way site. And here's what you're looking for. You're looking for a place that is an off-ramp from a major transportation artery that is not already crowded. You're looking for big box stores, not shopping malls. Shopping malls used to be the place to go, but a big box store, and you know what a big box store is usually a good option and in fact improving. And almost all these big box stores are finding they're developing into what they call lifestyle centers. Now, a lifestyle center will have retail, big box stores, and it will also have apartment buildings and single-family dwelling units. These are often very small lot lines. In other words, they don't have big backyards. They have small yards, but the size of the houses are better. Right now, if you're a realtor, that's what everybody is looking for. They're looking for a place where they can live and shop, get outside and walk, that if they got locked down, they can actually have access to the world. We're also looking for a new thing, which is entertainment hubs. Now, doctors, you may say, well, what do I care about movies and theater and miniature golf or, pitch and putts, whatever. You're actually looking for this because it forms the basis for what they call a lifestyle center. It's where people are wanting to go. Now, if you're a smart doctor and you're trying to find a place to practice, whether it's a practice for sale or just a location that's a shell or a brand new office, these are the things that realtors are now saying you got to see, and they're more cost effective for doctors. Now, a few other facts that I want you to kind of keep in mind. You're looking for good parking, as I mentioned earlier, and to make sure these sites are located, connected to regional transportation hubs and airports. In other words, getting out of town or getting to town, getting around matters a lot, but it is not public transportation. It's just access to the hub. Access to planned communities is the new hot thing as well. You're actually finding lots and lots of planned communities that are kind of clustering together. They may have a clubhouse or a lifestyle center or even an office building, an apartment building that is near the planned community. Doctors, that's where you want to be. Also, single family dwelling units, that's a shorthand for SFDUs, and apartment centers are also the new hot thing. People want to have a place that they can own. For a while, and I'm going to really go back maybe 10 years ago, it was very, very big to go to a place that had small, inexpensive, but highly urbanized sites to live. So you could get and walk to the restaurant, you could walk to the theater, you could do those things, and everybody's going, ooh, I'm downtown. But they found that they had some negative facts about those places. One of the things that they found is they were not family friendly. Now, an odd thing about humans is they tend to like to reproduce. They are family friendly, in other words. If you can't have children and teens who can live in that place, nobody wants to live there. When we got locked down, boy, did that become very obvious for people. They're kind of going, this is not a family friendly place. Convenient if I want to have a fun party lifestyle. But now that I'm getting older, not so crazy about that anymore. Then we found the other thing is so many women have gone into the professions. Medicine and dentistry, optometry. There are far more women by percentage and in raw numbers than ever before. And where women want to work is not the same place as their male counterparts did. Because, and I know this is a very politically incorrect thing to say, if you happen to be a mom, just because you're a doctor doesn't mean that you're not a mom anymore. And so getting home still matters. So the family women friendly thing that we're talking about is a short commute. So that has become a major imperative for finding the new place to put a practice. It feels like, by the way, that smaller towns are clustering together. Even when you find two towns that may be fairly distant from each other. The reality is they're joining together by building apartments and small single-family dwellings between the city centers. And that is why these locations have become so popular. San Antonio and Austin are very big cities, kind of far away, but in between them are all these little towns, not just little towns, but towns that offer lots of nice amenities. And remember, with being able to do things through Amazon, you can get stuff almost anywhere. Now, here's the thing I'm telling you, demographers are meeting on, and that is the impact of high schools, which are greater than they've ever been before. But this is including charter schools and magnet schools. Now, I recognize some places do not like charter schools. They think they're robbing the public school system, and the teachers unions hate them. But the reality is that's what people want. Regardless of socioeconomics, the charter and magnet schools, and those are going to be acting and sports schools and places that have a specific character about them or a mission, are becoming extremely popular. Now, doctors, you want to have a good place to practice? You got to shop for high schools and make that one of the primary centers of search, not large employers as it once was. But can you get kids to and from school? The charters and magnets are becoming very important as well. Now, I am going to tell you right now, the best sites report is going to be our most popular thing that we're doing right now. Guys, it's very important. No, it's not $49. We are offering a $49 discount. Miracle Max 49 is a great discount. In fact, I'll be honest, it's probably the only one we're running right now. So if you want to know where to go and get the demographics and psychographics maps competition and recommendations of where to go within a large geographic area, where are potential places for you to look, the best sites report's the one to go to, and we're offering the $49 discount with Miracle Max 49. Mike's Marketing Mastery course, they're running various sessions right now. Now, here's the thing I've got to tell you. If you are really a smart person, right now, during the summer is the time to get your marketing together. And I'm not just talking about advertising or collateral pieces, you know, your brochures and your internet marketing, but I'm also talking about strategy. Because marketing takes into account what the other guy over there is doing and what the population, through psychographic research, what they want. So guys, right now is the time to get your marketing reports and to get in Mike's Marketing Mastery course. Right, Mike?
That's right. As a matter of fact, if you want to be in the July group, you need to register this week. And so I'll be sending out an email this week to kind of a final call for those that want to be in the July 12-week session. Now, this is both hours and hours of pre-recorded content, but what's most important is it's one-on-one coaching with you and your staff, that we can take all of these concepts, many of which you've heard before, but apply them specifically to your area. And to me, that is what makes this program stand out, is that it's not just something you're going to find on YouTube. It's not just something you're going to read in a book. All of that stuff is very general, maybe true, but is very general and is not specific to your geography, your demographics, your psychographics that we define here at Dr. Demographics. So do yourself a favor, like Scott says, during the summer is the time to really get that strategy in place. We have a few slots left. So if you're interested in the Marketing Mastery program, you can either go under the training tab on the website and register there, or you can reach out to me at mike@drdemographics.com, and we'll get you in and enrolled for this next session.
Okay, now one of the things that I believe is there's a little synergy working with other doctors. And sometimes people will say, you know, that doesn't work for me, or what happened here? And a lot of times Mike can actually do original research for the people in the group and kind of guide the group based upon what we're seeing in the marketplace. I know there's a lot of well-intentioned people who are marketing consultants, and they may believe they know everything there is to know. They don't. What they know is what they may have experienced. Our approach at Dr. Demographics is not to try to spoon feed you what we want you to do, but rather to say, this is what the market is doing and what's happening there. Again, our research is original and it's new. So please go to drdemographics.com, take a look at what we've got, and we have content we're putting out there all of the time. We try to maintain our website so that it has become a source of information. So I'm grateful for Mike bringing so many things to me and to our company to be able to look at this. Now, I believe in doctors. I believe in the future. I do not believe that you're doomed. There's too much of that negativity going on out there, and that, oh my gosh, everything's going to fall apart. It's not. Sorry, I just don't buy it. In my long life, I can tell you, I've seen a lot of things that look desperate. Don't believe that you're doomed, okay? And you're in a great profession. So everybody, thank you so much. Mike, I want to thank you again for being a great resource. I don't know if the doctors fully appreciate what it is. Please make sure you go on Miracle Max 49, and whatever you do, make sure you get information before you spend a lot of money. It's the smart thing to do. It's a smart play. All right, everybody, take care. We're out of time. Talk to y'all later.